Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. So today I want to talk about how I got my first editing client for my business and what the experience has been like, and then we'll do a bit of editing together. If you are new here, hi, my name is Leané. I am a romantasy and historical fiction author, as well as recently I've also become a book editor. So feel free to check the description for the links to all of my novels as well as my editing services. And like I said, today I just wanted to tell you a little bit about how I got my first client for my business, which I've recently launched, if you didn't know, and just some things that I've learned and kind of take you a bit through the process and what a morning looks like when I'm doing editing work. So I launched the business just over a month ago, and I've honestly learned so much, not just about editing manuscripts, but especially about starting a business. I feel like there's so many things that you don't necessarily think about, or there's so much planning that goes into it. And obviously a lot of it is fun because you get to decide on a name for your business and design a website and pick out themes and do social media posts, and all of that is obviously fun, but there's also so many other technical aspects, not even to mention the marketing, because marketing, you guys, this is not my strong front, and it's something that I'm still trying to learn. I honestly partly wish I had gone to university and gotten a marketing degree, because I just feel like, not just for my business, but as an author as well, 50% of my job is not writing, but just promoting my book and promoting my work. And it's been a lot more important than I think I initially realized it would be. But anyways, let's talk about how I got my first client and the projects that I'm currently working on. So my first client is actually someone that I know personally. We used to know each other. It's like an old acquaintance that I knew when I was still in school, and we used to do horse riding lessons together. I think she has been like keeping up with my social media and my books. I'm pretty sure she has a signed copy or two of my novels, but she wrote her debut novel, and she actually reached out to me and just basically asked if she could like get a second opinion on it. And so I told her, your timing could not have been better, because I actually just started my own editing business. And so I basically just talked about how I could offer her different services depending on whether or not she wanted to self-publish or traditionally publish. And she ended up deciding that she wanted to self-publish her novel, and that she wanted a developmental edit, because that is usually the first round of editing that your novel gets. Regardless of whether or not you self-publish or traditionally publish, that is the first round of edits that your book has to go through. So your developmental edit, for those who don't know, is basically your stage of editing that focuses on a lot of the bigger things that need to be changed. So this is not grammar or spelling or your writing style, your sentence structure. This is more focusing on the plot of your book, any inconsistencies of the plot or things that need to be changed in the plot, your characters, any big problems or plot holes, your character arcs, the relationship between your characters, so any major changes that need to be made. So I'm currently doing a developmental edit for her. The book is about 87,000 words, or just over 87,000 words, and I have just about 40 pages to go with this novel. It's honestly been so much fun. I think my favorite type of editing, if I have to edit other people's manuscripts, is a developmental edit, because you can kind of read the book without focusing too much on like the technicalities in terms of the sentence structure and the spelling and the grammar and all that. It's not so much technical. It's more so that you get to read through the book as a reader and then be like, okay, here's some missing elements. Here's what would make this book so much better in terms of plot and character. So I genuinely enjoy doing a developmental edit. It has been so much fun. This is the second time I'm going through the manuscript. The first time I kind of just read through it to get like an idea of what the story's about, where it's going, and I'm hoping to finish this project this week. So I have my Google Calendar where I basically plan out everything, because otherwise I would not be able to keep track of what I need to get done in a day. So I'm going to do 20 pages of her novel today. So I'm going to try and go from page 245 to 265 before we move on to the next project. So I think we should we make a cup of coffee, or should we go get an iced coffee? That's the real question. Or I'm actually going to the gym later and then after work. So maybe I get a nice coffee on the way home and then I come back and then I do some more work. I don't know, we'll see. Do you know what I'm actually gonna do? I think I'm gonna make hot chocolate because it's very cold and wintry outside, and I think that would be perfect. Anyways, this is a very long intro. I hope you enjoy this video. Let's go make ourselves a drink and then get started on our first writing project or editing project. You know what I mean. Why is it so difficult to get off? It's now 9:45 and I just finished editing the 20 pages of the manuscript. So basically I read through the chapters and then I leave comments on the actual like document when I spot something that maybe needs a little bit more clarity or is inconsistent with the plot or the characters. And then I also make notes on a separate document which I'm going to put into the editorial letter, which I'm also going to send to her once the developmental edit is done. So it's basically just a document that compiles all of the major things that need to be looked at or worked on or changed in the novel. But anyways, we are done with our first project for the morning, so I think I'm gonna go and make some breakfast and then we're gonna come back and get started on our second project, which I will tell you about. It's now just about 10 o'clock and I finished my breakfast and it's time for us to move on to our next project, because I currently actually have 3 clients, which is absolutely crazy for me to think about, because when I started this business I think there was that fear in the back of my mind that one, I'm either never going to get a client ever, and my business is just basically going to fail, or 2, a slightly better alternative, it's going to take a couple of months to get off the ground and it's going to take me a while to get a client, and then it'll only be like 1 client and then it'll be a couple of months before I get another client. But the opposite has happened actually, and I'm essentially booked until mid-August at this point, and then I also have another potential client for January, which is just absolutely crazy to think about. Like, I'm honestly just so grateful that things are working out and that the business is actually taking off. Like, I can honestly not be more happy about it, because this really is what I want to do more full-time next year instead of my current part-time job. Obviously I'm still going to be writing my own novels and publishing my own books. Having a second job is something that I need to do right now, but at the same time, like, this is something that I actually enjoy doing, that I'm passionate about, that I can grow my own skills in, but it's also like my business that I can actually grow, which is so exciting. So I'm honestly just really grateful that I have clients to work with and that it is not a failure. So for my second client project, I'm working on this book from the first of June till the end of June, and then I have another project from mid-June to mid-August. So this book is a fantasy book, and it's actually Taylor Ann Wright's novel, which if you watch a lot of AuthorTube videos, you are probably familiar with Taylor Ann Wright and her debut novel Adventure Below, which she's publishing she's republishing a second edition of the book. And so she actually reached out to me and asked me if I could proofread her novel for her before it goes out to publication or to be published again, which is both like just absolutely insane because I have watched her videos. I know exactly who she is. Like, so when she reached out to me, I was absolutely just fangirling. And the other side of it is absolutely terrifying because I do not want to mess up this book or this project. I feel like obviously it's very important for my business, but also this is someone that I admire as an author, and I just want to do the best possible job that I can do on her novels. So no pressure, but basically we're proofreading her book. It is, how many words is it? It's just over 70,000 words. I've done the first 30 pages, so I try to do about 30 pages a day because I don't work on my freelance work like every single day of the week. I alternate between doing freelance work and working on my own novel. So the thing that's tough about this is because you are proofreading slash I'm doing a little bit of copy editing, but mostly it's proofreading. I have to consider every single sentence, every single word to make sure there are no spelling mistakes, there are no grammar mistakes, that the sentence structure works, and that, yeah, basically that just there aren't any mistakes in the book. So it's definitely more time consuming than a developmental edit because I can't just really read it like I would normally read it. I have to read it and think about every single thing and make sure that it is working. So this is definitely a lot more time consuming, but it's still at the same time just so exciting that I get to work on this project. And I'm also enjoying reading the book so far. I've read the prologue and the first chapter, and things just started like picking up plot wise, so I'm like actually excited to see where the story goes from like a reader's perspective, because ironically enough this book was on my TBR. I just haven't gone around to reading it, and now I'm reading it as an editor, which is crazy. But anyways, so I'm gonna get started on chapter 2. No wait, actually I did read chapter 2. My mistake. I read the first 2 chapters in the prologue. I'm gonna get started on chapter 3 now. And we'll see how far we get with it. I have to go into work earlier this month, but it also means that I get off work a little bit earlier. So my plan was basically to work on this until I have to like make lunch and get ready to leave for work, and then after work I quickly am gonna go to the gym because I haven't been there in like a week and a half because I was sick. And then once I'm done with my gym session, I think I'm gonna come back and finish this if it's not finished, or just do some other admin work and like marketing work and stuff. And then I have Bible study this evening. So that is our plan for the day. I'm going to stop yapping now and get started on this because like I said, it does take a lot of time. But yeah, I have the Midnight's album playing on Spotify in the background to keep me motivated. So anyway, let's edit this book or proofread this book. So it's a little bit later, it's almost 11, and I've managed to get about 10 pages done, which is not nearly as much as I would have liked to do, but yeah, it takes me about an hour to do 10 pages, and maybe I'm being too like perfectionist or like meticulous about it, but I rather do it properly than rush it. So if I didn't have my part-time job, it honestly would have been fine, because I would have just worked on it for the next 2 hours and managed to do my 30 pages. It definitely is a little bit more challenging because my day is kind of like broken up in half because of my part-time job. But I was planning to go to gym after work, but now I'm thinking maybe I should go now just before work, so that one, it is done and takes off of our to-do list for the day, and then two, the gym also tends to get busy around like 4 to 6, so that's kind of like the peak time, and I don't really want to go when it's super busy. I like going around this time of day when there's not really anybody there. So I think I'm gonna pack my things and also make myself some lunch to take to work, and then I'm gonna go just do a casual little workout. I don't want to push it too hard because I am still recovering from being sick, and then after work I can come back and see if I can do the other 20 pages. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Otherwise, I'm gonna do 10 more pages and then try to do the other 10 tomorrow before I work on my book. It's now almost 5 p.m. and I just got back from work, but I still have 20 pages left to edit. So I've gotten dinner started, and I'm really tired. I don't really have the energy to edit, but those pages need to get done today, at least 10 of them. The other 10 I can do tomorrow if I have to, but I'd rather get as much done as possible today. So let's see how much progress I can make. Before I do that, we have a little unboxing to do. So I think I mentioned this in my second to last video, but I spilled hot chocolate all over my laptop, which is very unfortunate, and it kind of like messed up my trackpad a little bit, so I've had to get like a mouse that I can use with it, but the one that I currently have has a wire and it's just really impractical, so I got the wireless one. This one on the box is green. I ordered a white one, so I hope this one isn't green because I'm not gonna be impressed if it is. Oh no, there's the different colors. Okay, so this is just a little cheap wireless one that was on sale. I think you can use it with Bluetooth. Here she is, adorable. Oh, it's a silent mouse. I didn't even realize that, but that is quite comfy. I feel like, yeah, she'll do the job. Cute. Okay, so I'll have to try that out on my laptop tomorrow. But anyways, let's do the next 20 pages. I really want to kind of like redesign my desk space as well. I want to get a different keyboard for it, a different mouse pad. I want to get a cute little lamp, but all in good time. Guys, this story is getting intense. Like, I'm invested right now. I'm sad. I'm sad. It is now 5 p.m. and we've managed to do 10 pages, which is double the speed that we worked at this morning, because this morning it took me an hour to do 10 pages and now it only took me half an hour. So I'm not really sure what has changed. I think maybe I might just be getting like into the rhythm of things, which is good because I definitely need to pick up some speed on this project. But the plot itself is actually getting really interesting. I really like the characters so far, especially our main character. I love her and I love reading from her perspective, but it is getting intense over here and I'm sat right now. Like, this is good. And I think it's always nice when you work on a project, like especially out of a reader's perspective. I enjoy this as a reader as well, if that makes sense, and not just, oh, I'm editing this book because it's my job, but I actually enjoy reading the story, which is always nice. But anyways, let's see if I can do the next 10 pages in the next half an hour. I'd be so happy. I'd literally be so happy. So let's see if we can do it. It is now 6 p.m. and you guys, we have finished our 30 pages for the day. So I am gonna call it a day. I honestly didn't think that I was gonna be able to do all 30 pages, but obviously I am getting into the rhythm of things. I think that I've grown kind of like accustomed to her writing style and the things that I need to look out for. So I think my brain is getting quicker in catching certain little things, just like missing commas or maybe certain repeated phrases or whatever. But yeah, the story is just getting more interesting and more interesting. It's very intense. So I'm a little bit nervous for what's going to happen to certain characters, but I'm excited to read the rest of the story. One thing that I will say is that I'm very curious about the male love interest. I assume there's going to be a love interest, but I'm a little bit confused because I feel like there's so many potential characters that it could be, but we'll see if my guesses are correct. Anyways, I'm gonna call it a day. I'm gonna go and relax now for the rest of the evening. So I will probably check in again on Friday because tomorrow I'm gonna work on my own writing, and I also think I'm gonna work on some social media posts, which I might film, but if I don't, then I'll check in again on Friday. Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. I am very glad that this week is almost over. However, I still have a lot of work to do, both today as well as probably tomorrow, just so that I get on top of everything, because I am a little bit behind. Well, technically I'm not behind on my editing work. I'm going to finish up my one project today, but I do want to get a little bit ahead with the other proofreading project. So we're going to finish our developmental editing project today. I just finished reading the manuscript and now I'm going to get started on the editorial letter. So this is both exciting and also so daunting, because I always feel like it's so difficult to tell an author like, these are all things that is wrong with your book or that you need to change about your book, because I also know the other perspective of it, or like the other side of it, and what it feels like to be in the author's shoes. And I think it's very hard when you put your heart and soul into a novel, especially your debut novel, and then to have someone come and be like, okay, well, here's a list of everything that's wrong with it. But I'm really trying to come from an angle where it's like, these are all of the like good elements in your story. I just think that we need to expand more on these elements or develop certain things a little bit more, just to make it a better reading experience for your readers overall. So that is what we are going to be working on. I literally have like an hour before I have to start getting ready for work. There's so many things that needs to get done, and I honestly don't know when I'm going to get around to all of them, because I feel like there's not enough hours in the day. I'm so behind on my social media. Like, I'm behind on my Instagram, I'm behind on LinkedIn. At least I'm now filming this YouTube video, which I also need to edit at some point during this weekend. So I think it's going to be a busy weekend in terms of just like trying to make sure that I'm on top of everything with work, but it's fine. Hopefully I can just set myself up to have a good work week next week. But anyways, I'm gonna get started on this editorial letter and try to write the best editorial, most helpful editorial letter that I can, because obviously at the end of the day, that is what this is about. It's about helping an author just like get the very best out of their manuscript. So Good morning, it's now Monday and I realized that I never ended this video. So on Friday I finished the editorial letter which I need to send to my client. However, I didn't have time to like go through it again and just edit it and make sure that everything was as it should be before I sent it to her. So I ended up finishing it this morning, which is completely fine because my deadline for this project was actually the 23rd of June and today is only the 8th. Which means that we were well ahead of schedule, which is really good, so now I can also focus solely on my other project, which is great. But yeah, I edited the editorial letter, made sure that everything was in order, and I was happy with all of the notes and comments that I had for her, and I just sent it over to my client. So that is our first project done. That's our first client. And I finished her project and I'm honestly just so excited because I really enjoyed it. I enjoy doing developmental editing. I enjoy working with authors and helping them improve their books. And yeah, I'm happy and I'm excited to see where this goes. So fingers crossed it keeps going well and I can keep getting more clients so that I can do this full-time next year. Or essentially replace my part-time job with this so that I can just work from home and just write my novels and edit other people's novels, because that's the dream right now. So yeah, but thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any other video suggestions in the comments below, because I would love to film something that you guys would want to see. And yeah, I will see you in my next video.